Well, hello once again, family, listening audience, and welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Victory in Jesus. We are so excited, we're so delighted to be able to once again come into your homes and share with you the good news about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. As you know, we always like to open up by letting you know that you don't have any problems, as what you have is victory in Jesus. So once again, I am your host, Frank Tony, and this is my lovely co-host, Angela Tony, as I always like to say, the better part of me. So I'm thankful. I thank God for all that you've done and that you're doing for me as well, as we continue to share the love and the good news of the Lord. Amen. So family, today we are blessed. We consider ourselves extremely blessed. You know, we like to bring caliber. We like to bring high caliber guests to the show, and I think today we may have outdone ourselves. And the guests that we have today, our motto, as we say, with the name of our show, we're Victory in Jesus. But one of our many mottos that we have is connecting Christ and community, and that's important to us. We want the community as well to be connected to Christ in every aspect. So today we've got such a special guest that doing a great work in the region. I can't say Franklin County because their work far exceeds Franklin County, but we're speaking about Mr. and Mrs. Billy and Betty Kingery of Remax Mountain to Lake Realty. Welcome to the show, Mr. and Ms. Kingery.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Yeah,
we love the name of your show, Victory in Jesus, because we feel like all of us are not victims, we are victors. So we are realtors that are victors. How about that?
Realtors who are victors.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, again, we're so delighted, and I say that not just because it sounds good, but I say that we're blessed to have today because I mean that. We know how extremely busy you all are. It's been a long time in the process of trying to get you to get to this point of the show. But I knew that if we were persistent and patient, sooner or later we would be able to nail you down to this time and day. So thank you once again for being here with us today. And I didn't tell Mr. Kingery before, but I'm gonna say it here. Because I've got listeners now who can cover for me, but but Mr. Kingery, for the longest time when I first met your wife, you do your show with another gentleman,
With Bob Parcell.
Bob Parcell,
Yeah.
and for the longest time I thought Bob was Bill. I thought Bob was Mr. Kingery, but I was so glad to be able to meet Mr. Kingery today. Heard a lot about you, and we see that most if not all that we've heard is true.
I hope so. I hope so.
But what we thought we would do today, we're talking about partnerships, what we call in ministry, right? And we'll talk to you about that a little bit. But we have a thing that's partners doing a great work, and you guys came to mind naturally with what you're doing with the community. We wanted you to be a part of this conversation because it's important for our family, as we affectionately refer to them, because we are family. It's important for our family to be able to see the pillars within the community, yes, in their professional field, but sometimes it's good for people to be able to see that you're just as human as the next person. So again, we're honored that you would come to be able to share that with us today. So, honey, what are some of the things that you want to find out about the Kingerys today?
Well, how long have you been married?
40 years.
40 years.
May the 15th, 1976. It was a bicentennial wedding.
Wait a minute.
How about that?
No, we didn't have a bicentennial wedding, but it was
But
in the
it was on that
bicentennial
year.
year.
It was okay,
Yeah,
and you're
76.
you're natives of Franklin
Natives,
County?
yeah, born in, well, I was actually born in Roanoke, but that's because I don't know why. But it
I
may
was
have been
born
closer
in
to the
I was
hospital
born in
of
Rocky
Roanoke.
Mount.
But anyway, I've lived here all my life. Yeah, my
Yeah.
parents lived here. I grew up on a dairy farm over in the Works community, and so we built a house on the farm actually.
Oh, so your home is on your home place.
It
Yeah.
is.
How
Yeah,
unique, how nice that is.
It's very nice.
Yes.
So we both grew up here in Franklin County, and like he grew up, and we still live on his home place, but we both are graduates of the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. So we did venture out for a few years.
I chased Betty down
Okay.
there.
He went to Ferrum
For a
his
year.
first year, and then he came on to the University of Tennessee.
So were you all dating at that time, or
Well, in
just-
high school, we were in the drama club together, so we were several plays,
Okay.
and we were also in the band, high school band, all through our high school and junior high career, time. And then I think it all started one night after play practice. I asked Betty, I said, "Can I take you home?" And so
I had to ask my dad.
she had to, yeah, I think that's the way it was. But anyway,
That was
that's where
back
it all
in the day.
that's where it all started. And then her dad would finally let me bring her home. So
I think that should still be in order today. You should
I
ask
agree.
Dad.
I totally agree. Dad is the one, especially when it comes to the daughters.
yeah,
Dad are the ones that you would need to ask. Have you always is being a realtor your first occupation?
No, when I graduated from UT, I graduated with a degree in animal science, and I was the only boy in the Kingery families. My dad William and my uncle Walter were partners in the farm, and the farm's been in the family for like 4 generations. So I was expected to come back to the farm. So I did. I came back for several years, and then realtors would call and ask. I was involved in a lot of things in the community and engaged in, the Rotary Club and things like that while I was on the farm. And realtors would call and ask me different things about a farm, and I would answer, and I thought, well, maybe I should get into that business. So I don't know, I just kind of gradually got into it and then jumped into it. And I've been in it for 26 years now. This is my 26th year. So.
Several people really encouraged him that this is what you should do. When you leave the dairy, you really should consider coming into real estate. And so that's when and you joined Meadow Spring Land and Realty.
Worked with Wes Naff.
Wes Naff was a broker, and
C.A. Flora. They were kind of my mentors.
So that's kind of how all that started.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you start out with Mountain to Lake Bonneau? You started with Meadow Spring?
Meadow Spring Land and Realty.
Okay, so how did Mountain to Lake Realty come into existence?
2006.
Yeah, 2006. Our broker, Wes Naff, he was ready to retire, and so he wanted to sell out. And
yeah,
I don't really know exactly what happened, but anyway, he offered it to us, and we bought it. And his family farm had the name Meadow Spring, and he didn't want to give that up.
Right.
So we had to come up with a name, and Betty came up with the name Mountain to Lake, since the mountains are on one side and the lakes, well, the 2 lakes are on the other side. We can't forget about
both
Philpott.
here in this county.
Yeah, Philpott. And
Yeah.
so we got to keep the colors that Meadow Spring had. That's, all the phone numbers, everything's the same. So
Okay.
we transitioned over to Mountain to Lake, and our great folks of Franklin County, and they continued to support us just like we were before, and we try to make it as smooth and
seamless.
as possible. Yeah.
So it's only been this year then that we added the Remax layer to it.
Okay, that was
And
the next question.
As the world gets smaller and folks are moving from place to place, and as I look at it, Remax is one of the best franchise companies in the world. They are the top. They sell more real estate than anybody, but they actually have been on to us for the past 9 years if we would consider to become a Remax firm. And so I guess we finally
Probably did it.
Capitulated, gave in.
Yeah.
And we're happy we did. I think it's good. A lot of folks in the county, I think, thought that we had sold out, but we didn't sell out. We're still the same.
So you just
Nothing is
partnered
same.
with Remax, which, and I guess the biggest benefit of that is what would you say?
Well, it gives our sellers more access to more people because it's world known, and as people are moving around, I use a little slogan that the world knows us and we know you. And so that's how it all will mesh together. RE/MAX is what they call, again, above the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is the balloon above that, but I mean our statistics, our numbers show that we're so much more above, and that helps us with sales. So as far as getting referrals from different places and being able to send referrals and be a part of a network, be a part of, that's one of the things that I think that I really like about it is the fact of knowing, being with other folks that are in the exact same franchise and being together and sharing information. Everybody is so full of sharing, and that's a big part of our business.
And
So
that's a positive aspect to it, especially for your clientele, because as you said, the world is getting smaller, but information is getting more and more available.
Oh, yes.
And the options are more and more vast. So with that, being connected with someone with national and even international
oh yeah.
status gives your clientele more options to choose from.
As folks are using the internet and using online for practically everything, and especially the millennials, but looking online for real estate searches,
Right.
RE/MAX.com comes up right behind. Of course, Zillow is still the top. Trulia and Zillow are now one company, but they've kept them as separate. And then Realtor.com, but then RE/MAX.com comes in there next. And so
Right.
that means that all of our sellers have their listings coming up on top on the first page of any of the real estate search engines. So that's definitely a plus for our sellers, and it's definitely a plus for buyers, because we have an app now that everybody's got an app for everything. But
There's that, yeah.
anyway, it just has gotten a little bit harder to be the mom and pop. I mean, we loved being independent.
Right.
But the expense that you have, the online expense, everything that you have to do to try to represent your sellers the best that you can, it's gotten harder. And now it's much easier to have a world-known name behind it. So we're excited.
We were talking before we came on today that you just shown some homes to some folks from Vermont. So this is perhaps a sidebar of being connected to the RE/MAX family. Folks as far away as Vermont coming to see you to find a home in the area. That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Let's ask you this real quick. If we could, don't mind shifting gears a little bit. We were talking about attitude and conduct, and people telling you one thing, but then you kind of sort of seeing another thing. But when we talk about this being Victory in Jesus and we being who we are, I want to ask you about your profession. Do you, and we like I said, we touched on it, but let's go into it for the family to hear. Do you see what you're doing, your profession, do you see that as a ministry, or is it just a job, or is this a money maker? How do you see your profession?
Oh, it's definitely a ministry. We're helping folks find a home to raise their family. And of course, we're just there to help. We just want to do everything we can to help them with the financing. Just finding a home is easy. There's a lot of other things that come into play. You've got your inspections, you've got your lender that you have to work with, and so forth. So we try to guide everybody through the process, and of course we have to be psychologists too. When they start getting upset, we have to kind of settle them down, and all of that is a ministry.
Yeah, I could easily see how it is a ministry, because you have so many different aspects, as you just said. Psychology being one. You're trying to make this memorable for all the right reasons. Because many, and I'll say this, it hadn't happened to us, thankfully, but I've talked to individuals who their home buying experience was disastrous. In fact, I know of some individuals who were misled, they withheld information, all in the name of a sale. And I'm sure it wouldn't take you long to think of situations that of yourself, that everybody doesn't have the same ideologies when it comes to whether it's a ministry or whether it's just a job.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of folks are like that, but something that we tell our clients is that more than likely we're here to stay. There are some folks that kind of come and go. There are many folks that have come into real estate because they thought it was easy.
And a lot of money.
And
It's
they
not
look
all
at it,
about that.
but and they work for a while, and we've lost business, of course, to folks like that come in part-time because it's my uncle or my sister or my so-and-so, and they know very little about real estate, actually. And now it's those times that I think about, wow, because buying a home can be the largest investment that anyone can make, or many people can make in their lifetime. You know, if they don't ever purchase a business or go forward with something else, this is more money to them than anything else they're going to do in a lifetime. And you're going to mess up somebody's life. I mean, I'm sure as a hairstylist I could cut somebody's hair, but it's going to grow back, I think. But whereas for purchasing a house for a $130,000 investment, a $300,000 investment, and you don't know any more than what you do about real estate and how to make this work. So it is a job that we have part-time agents, and I don't knock the part-timers, but it's not an easy business. And so it really is a business for a full-time agent, and we are passionate about our business. We are going to be here. We're not going to move out tomorrow, and hopefully we're not going to lose, we're not going to give up our licenses either. We've already made a huge investment. So we love what we do, and we love the people that we work with. And everybody has differences in what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. And many times buyers don't know exactly what they want, even though they think they do.
Right.
And we understand that part of it. They can tell us criteria of exactly what they want. And lo and behold, they buy something that's completely different. Because you walk into a house and it feels like, wow,
Home.
this feels
The
good.
difference between a house and a home.
This feels good.
That was
So-
one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because it sounds like the difference between being a job and a ministry is passion, integrity, and experience. That's what I heard Betty say. Now, what's the difference when a buyer, what's the difference? How
Between a
would you
house
tell
and a
about
home?
the difference between a house and a home?
A house is just a building out there standing somewhere on some acreage. A home is where you raise your family and you connect and live your life. So, you have to match up the family with the right home.
Well, and two, I think of the home being the lifestyle that you put into it. So that your home's going to be different from our home.
Right.
And we all understand that. And many homes that we show folks are vacant. Many of them are lived in. And so somebody's lifestyle may be completely different from what the person that comes into it and likes it. But it's interesting, though, how much somebody moving out of a house, whoever's purchasing that house, had many of the similar qualities, or it's neat how that does happen. Because, folks are just gonna, I guess they have it in their genes that they like
gravitate
certain
there.
things,
Right.
and that's why they like that house.
Chemistry.
That's-
I've been in it so long, I guess, that when I'm with a couple, I can pretty much tell when they go into a house whether it's going to work or not. And the chemistry, you can feel it when they find the right house,
Right.
pretty much.
I
usually.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
You
We,
can feel
with the first home we bought, we looked for a long time, and we were just about ready to give up looking. And then a realtor who got to know us, who took the time to understand us, said, "I'm gonna take you somewhere, but I know you said you didn't want it in this area, but I'm gonna take you somewhere, and all I ask you to do is just follow me and trust me." And we were in a car, we were looking at each other like, I don't know where he's taking us. We didn't ask to come over here. We were just really apprehensive about his decision to really take authority over the choices that we were making. And he took us to this home, and the minute we drove in the
Yeah.
driveway, I didn't even have to go in.
Yeah.
I knew that that was home.
And many times we have to, just like what you said, we have to talk you into going to it because it's not necessarily the home that you picked out from online.
Right.
I mean, most folks go online now. It's probably
Right.
close to 99% of all of our buyers have been online at some point or another looking at homes. And some folks just like to look at homes because they like to look at them, and that's okay. You can get some ideas. But there are most folks that are buying have been online at some point.
Right.
And they will tell us different things about what they like and what they don't like. And that's something that as we're going from one house to another, we find we that grows on us too.
Right.
It's always nice when they're riding with us so we can have some conversation between houses. But sometimes, depending on if they got young children or
Car seats.
Car seats,
or whatever their habits may be,
Yeah.
that they want to drive separately, and that's fine. Then we talk, but it's interesting how fast we can get to know what
Right.
you just by listening.
Right.
We have to become good listeners too.
Yeah.
And because until we hear what you really want, I cannot share the benefits that this house is going to be for you. And so sometimes folks will skip over that part, but it's important for us to be listeners.
Yeah.
Even though I'm gibbering and you think, how in the world could you be a listener?
Another thing is once you're with folks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you ride around with folks all day or spend several days or several different times over several weeks or months, you get to know the folks and you get to know what they like, and if a house comes on the market, I mean, I've done this many times. Hey, I know this house is going to work for you.
Right.
Let's go see it. And I mean, I pretty much know they're going to like it when I get there. So that's something that happens.
So experience has really
Yeah.
helped you to be able to discern
Right.
a lot about your clients, which
Yeah.
there again, that's what makes it more of a ministry than anything else, because you're studying the individuals that you're working with. You're not just seeing them as a dollar sign, but you're seeing them as a person.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We just have a few moments left. We always seem to have this problem with time, but we have more information than time most time. But I think it's pertinent that we talk just a little bit about what a potential client can expect as far as preparing themselves to purchase a home. There's probably some credit things or some things that they could do to better themselves, better position themselves. And then on the flip side, for one who's ready to sell a home, could you, either one of you, talk from one of the other aspects of what should I as a buyer start to do, or what should I as a seller think about doing?
I'll do the buyer side.
I was going to say, well, you need to tune into Mountain to Lake Showcase, or
Okay,
Remax
okay.
Mountain to Lake Showcase on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. We definitely share that information. Okay, so what were you were going to do the buyer side?
Yeah.
Okay.
When folks call the office or call my phone, and they're inquiring about a particular property, after we answer questions about that particular property, then I'll ask them if they're in the market to buy, and what price range that they're in, and is this your first home, or do you have a home to sell? There's a lot of factors that come into play.
Right.
But the first thing that a buyer needs to do is talk to a lender, and we can give many different lenders names. There's lots of good lenders in the area, and get pre-approved or pre-qualified. You can look at a $300,000 home, but you may not be able to afford but a $150,000 home, or vice versa. You may be looking at $150,000 and you could purchase up to $300,000. You may not want to spend that much, depending on your payment. So, and then there's also closing costs, and that's money that is over and above the cost of the home. So you need to know what that is, and you can build that into the offer when they do make the offer, and they don't have to come out of pocket with that cash. So there's lots of things that buyers, but a lot of buyers, they call and they say, well, we're going to find the house first, and then we'll go to the bank. Well, that makes a little sense, but
Not in today's world.
not in today's world. You really need to know
Unfortunately.
where you are. as far as your finances, and then you can feel comfortable when you walk in the house. Oh yeah, I can buy this house because I've been pre-approved, I'm qualified, and I know that I can afford this house.
Now let me ask you this before Betty gives us the other side of it. As far as my finances are concerned, is my credit an issue that I should
Your
be-
credit,
The
yes.
lender's gonna-
Yeah, the lender's going to
Lender's gonna
check
take
that
care
out.
of all of that.
Okay.
I don't do any pre-approving anymore. We used to, but the banks have so many different products available that I don't even try to keep up with. I kind of sort of know a lot about them, but it's up to the lender to get that person in there, to get them pre-approved, check their credit. You know, your score's got to be 600 plus, and there's different levels of loans. You know, you can go USDA, which is 100%. Could be subsidized a little bit, FHA, VHDA, and then there's a VA loan that's 100% financing, and then there's the conventional loan where you put 20% down. So it's really important to get into the lender's office or get online or get on the phone and talk to a lender and say, look, I want to buy a home. And when you talk to the lender, you don't want to say, well, I'm ready to buy a home. You want to say, I want to buy a home. What can you do to help me buy this home?
Okay, good,
So-
good. Well, then that's important. That's good to know. Okay, Betty now.
So real quickly, as far as if a seller, well, we have a list, a checkoff list for the sellers, but to begin with, of course, as in many cases, you want to make a good first impression. Because remember, we talked about going to see 1, 5, 6, 10 houses in one day. Buyers get tired. And if you don't make a first good impression right there at the curb, they may not want to come in your house.
Curb appeal.
So curb appeal is very important. And once we get inside, decluttering, you've got to be able to show the house. We ask you to take personal things down. If you're going to leave anyway, it's a great time for you to start that process.
Right.
Start packing up some things, declutter, and maybe you need to move some of your furniture out. If it's wall-to-wall furniture, you want to make the room and the space look as big as possible. So you want spacious rooms and you want it to be appealing. Kitchens and bathrooms sell homes. So kitchens and bathrooms need to be very clean. And I know it's hard for it to live in a house and with an hour's notice maybe somebody's going to come look at your house. Well, you just got to keep it neat and clean. You got to make the bed every day if that's not already your habit. You've got to put your dirty clothes into a laundry basket or whatever, wherever you put those things. And keep your bathrooms as clean as possible and your kitchens as clean as possible, and make that first impression before you come in the door. It takes us a minute or two to get in the house using the lock boxes, and during that time the individual is looking around. If there's a dirt dauber's nest up there and spider webs here and this is dirty, that is an impression that you're making. Do these people really look after their house?
Right.
Well, yes, they would probably do. They go in and out of the garage. They never come in and out of this door like we are.
You can't make a first impression.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
Yes, it's very good. But all that we've heard today has been awesome, has been great, and I just wish we had just a little more time so we could share even more. Maybe we'd have to figure out a time, or if we could put another hour within the 24-hour day, then maybe we could get you to come back, because we know you're busy. But thank you so very much for taking the time of your busy lives to come and share with us today. I know this was meant to be. Again, we're grateful for you, and we just want to continue to remind you that because of the God that you serve, you don't have any problems, but what you do have is victory in Jesus. Until the next time we meet, may God bless you and may heaven smile upon you.